On a recent trip to California, I decided to rent my transportation through Turo. If you haven't heard of Turo before, it's basically Airbnb for cars. Now, I've done a video on Turo before, but this time I used a new feature they have called Turo Go, meaning everything from booking to actually taking possession of the car was done exclusively through the app. As in, no one gives you the keys, you control the car through your phone. I know it sounds pretty crazy, but I thought it was pretty cool and I wanted to share my thoughts on the experience. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Eat Sleep Drive, and I wanted to do this quick video to talk about my Turo Go experience. So I rented this 718 Cayman GTS today, and it's been a lovely experience. I paid about $135 to rent this thing for the day. I flew to California and I had some spare time, so that's why I picked this up for the day. And aside from a little rain in the morning, it's been a pretty nice California day. As you can tell right now, it's a bit sunny, but I've gotten the car a little bit dirty, as you can see. I've been down some pretty fun roads, and you can see the review that I have for this car on another video, which I will link above. But as far as the Turo Go experience, it's been pretty seamless. I found the car online and of course booked it through Turo. And then when I got off the plane, I went to the destination. It was very close to LAX. It was like within 3 miles of LAX. So a short Uber ride over didn't cost me too much money. And all I had to do was pull out my phone and check in on the car. I put my hand up to the door and the car unlocked, found the keys inside. It didn't have to deal with a human being. It was pretty crazy. So I found the keys inside. I started up, made sure everything was cool. And then as part of the Turo experience, to make sure that, you know, since you're not really dealing with somebody in person, they can't inspect the car. You have to take photos of the car, of course, and show the condition. So I took very detailed photos of the car because there are a few imperfections on this thing when I got it, and I didn't want to get charged for those ultimately. Now, when I return this car, I will take all those same photos, and I'm obviously gonna have to wash it up a bit. It was dirty when I got it, but it wasn't this dirty, so I can't return it like this. I'm gonna have to hit the car wash. That's something to keep in mind, because otherwise they'll charge you like $50 to clean the car if you don't do it yourself. Now that's obviously kind of a surcharge because, you know, no one's dealing with the car, no one's taking it off your hands and then going and getting it washed. So the idea is that you're always like bringing it back full tank of gas and also clean, so the next person can just kind of pop right in. This guy that I rented it from, his name is Michael, and he has a bunch of different cars. In fact, there was a guy renting a Alpha 4C right next to me. These cars were just parked in the street, and yeah, you just walk up with your app and check it out. So once again, if you want to check out my review, you can check out the review I have on this car, but I'm gonna go drive this around a little bit more, and then I'll check the car in and kind of give you guys my final summary of Turo Go. Driving the Angeles Crest Highway has been on my bucket list for a while. Angeles Forest is about an hour northeast of LAX without traffic, which basically never happens. Regardless, I was in LA and determined to check this iconic highway off my list. Unfortunately, the weather didn't exactly cooperate, as you can see. I did still have fun driving this road, even though the conditions were less than ideal. One thing I will say as it relates to Turo Go, because everything is handled remotely, they have telemetry on these cars at all times. And what that means is they can pretty much be Big Brother as you drive. Now, I took good care of this car and by no means abused it, but I also wasn't exactly driving slow. So one thing that concerned me is that they might try and come back and say I abused the car because I was driving fast. That never ended up happening, fortunately, but it's something you should keep in mind if you plan to do some semi-questionable things with these cars. So even though the weather was very hit or miss on my trip, I still really enjoyed renting this car. And as I wrapped up my trip, I came up with 3 things that you should know before booking through Turo Go. Number 1, take detailed photos at check-in and check-out. Because you aren't returning this car to a person, this is your only chance to detail out the condition of the car accurately. This is important because if the owner tries to say that there's some damage on the car, you need to make sure that you have sufficient proof that it didn't happen during your trip. Without good photos, if an owner files a claim, you're probably going to be on the hook for those damages, whether you did them or not. Hell, I even took photos of the tires with a penny showing the tread depth. I wasn't about to have someone try and claim I was doing donuts or some nonsense like that. Number 2, you're probably going to have to wash the car, so plan accordingly. I've rented a lot of rental cars, but I've never been asked to return a rental car clean. Most rental companies take care of this for you, but since Turo Go operates differently, most owners will put this stipulation in the rental agreement. Make sure you read it, otherwise you might get charged upwards of $50 to have the car cleaned. Number 3, pay attention to the mileage allowed. Each owner specifies how many miles you're allowed to drive per day, so it can vary greatly from car to car. Part of the reason I picked this car is because it was very generous on the mileage allotment. Most of the other sports cars I looked at only allowed 100 miles per day, and they will charge you if you go over, and it can be quite expensive per mile. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Turo didn't pay me to do this, but I often get questions about Turo based on my last video, so I figured I would update you all on Turo Go. Let me know what you think about the service in the comments below. I make a video like this every Friday, so if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing for more of them. You can check me out on Instagram in between episodes at Eat Sleep Drive TV. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Eat Sleep Drive.